My God, it got very bearish over the weekend, didn't it? So USDC depegged, Silicon Valley Bank was taken over by regulators. During the week though, Silvergate went bankrupt and, hush hush, the Federal Reserve closed Signature Bank. What's happening? But yet again, the cryptocurrency YouTubers and financial experts have been incredibly bearish and creating more fear-mongering across the world. And this is leading to more problems than we would like to have, let's be fair here. Let me explain. This is nothing like Luna USD. Let me just make this pretty damn clear. So this video is going to be pretty meaty. Feel free to watch to the end. I will be putting a few little timestamps within it just so you understand where the breakdowns are of certain points of the video. However, I do need to explain a lot of things regarding the banking sector, what's happening this week, cryptocurrency influence, and most importantly, what it happens, in terms of the bigger picture for the banking sector and why potentially this could kickstart a bull run. Don't say that too loudly though. I don't want everyone to hear. Maybe you should be exposed to crypto, maybe, potentially. So what do I mean by a purpose of a potential bullish narrative? Let me explain a little bit and then I will show you some more stuff on the screen in a bit. Cryptocurrency was created by a Bitcoin back in 2008 in terms of the creation of the code, off the back of the previous financial crash, right? This is the first time ever we've got a potential recession. This is the first time ever we've had financial crashes in terms of banking sector going kaput. Bailouts required, obviously, and most importantly, that fear, cohesion of bank runs are a big problem. Fear spreads fear. Where are people going to be safer to put their money if they're not going to trust the banks? Well, I'll give you a few alternatives. Gold, silver, maybe other commodities, crypto. See my point? Good. I know it's a stretch. I know it is speculation, so please don't treat this as financial advice and go all in on crypto. But what I'm saying is, the narrative is there. The opportunity to test this in a real live simulation is there. So bear that in mind when you come to think about cryptocurrency in the future. If you are unsure about what to do, check out my courses down below at Learning Crypto. It may well save you a lot of money in the long run. But before I continue, I do want to ask you a question. What is your opinion on all of this? Is it good for crypto or is it a negative element around crypto? So let's get onto the screen. I'm going to go through quite a lot. I will be freestyling this, so there's no real script involved. It's going to be great fun, so enjoy. So hi everyone. A little bit different. I'm standing up today. Thought I'd try it and be like a weatherman. Why not? Anyways, let's talk about the fundamental element that is kind of bugging me more than anything is the fact of the YouTube community and Twitter. Little link here in terms of what I said on my Discord. Stay away from Twitter, stay away from YouTube sort of thing, because over the weekend it was savage. Absolutely mental it was. Really, really mental. So yeah, a big problem. Again, when we look at financial crash, I watched the Flame Bagels video, really good in terms of what actually did happen, really, really good stuff. But again, you can see a lot of the fear stuff. It's kind of here, right? And again, looking at altcoin crashes, disaster, all these biggie words, worse than Lehman Brothers, which it was. But wow, people are really struggling right now. And why not just kick them in the teeth when we're at the market lows, essentially, of this costless price action? And yeah, let's just sell all of our bags, right? Doesn't make sense. This week, let's go. So what is actually happening this week, which is going to be very, very interesting for a lot of people, is the fact that we are going to start to see some US inflation data coming out tomorrow, right? This is not good in terms of timing in the market, right? Retail sales in China as well on Wednesday could also move the dollar. Eurozone industrial production as well could also factor in the dollar, as well as other stuff such as, Janet Yellen appearing at Senate Financial Committee on Thursday. There's all kinds of stuff happening, but there's also an emergency Federal Reserve meeting today. As you're probably watching this, it's probably already happened in terms of what could be happening overall. But let's zip back to inflation again. Consensus is 6% now. If you've not yet subscribed to my channel, do it now. Hit the bell button too, because I go live on a reaction on CPI. Looking forward to this one. I think this one will be an interesting one. If it is a consensus of 6%, and in terms of what I'm going to talk about in terms of this video, it might be positive for the economy, even though we've had 3 banks go kaput, which is not great. But the reality is certain things are not slowing down as quickly as we first predicted, which is good. However, we do need to talk about that banking stuff, right? So what has actually happened here? Well, Silicon Bank failed largely because of its links to the technology industry. Because tech is getting nailed by the rise in interest rates and changes in consumer preferences. Let me digest this. It's very expensive now to get loans, to borrow money because interest rates are high. A lot of tech firms are not doing very well at the minute, and let me explain that in a second why. There's problems. Most of them are not running in profit, most of them are ambitious startups, and most of them have had huge layoffs. I will come on to that graph in a second. Now, when you talk about money getting pulled out of the market, when people panic, they're pulling money out. Banks make money via lending, borrowing, moving it around, doing all kinds of stuff with it. Majority of the banking sector within Silicon Valley was tech, startups, all that kind of stuff. Not so much retail consumers like ourselves, right? So that's one big problem. When you got a lot of money thrown around somewhere and then they need it all at once and they panic, it's an obvious bank run, right? So that's a huge important thing. Now, this is where it falls into the world of cryptocurrency. Customers like Circle. They are in charge of USDC, they're the creator of it, and this is what caused their peg to go down from $1 down to as low as 80 cents. Causes panic, right? So when you think all these big companies that are kind of factored in here, yes, they're going to have shares and potential interest and bonds and treasuries, whatever, in this bank. Yeah, problem. Other problem. HSBC have bought Silicon Valley Bank in terms of the UK element of it to protect customers and taxpayers for £1. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this will all work because I'm just a YouTuber, but you get the idea in terms of people are starting to back this up. Now, there's been a lot of claims saying that a lot of depositors will get their money back. However, in terms of the regulatory side, this is a funny bit, most of the bank holders in terms of the treasuries and whatnot don't have the element of amounts, if that makes sense. So they're only covered up to a certain amount. So say if you're in the UK, it's only up to a certain amount of 85,000. In America, it's a little bit different. I'm not 100% sure. But most of the customers are way above that. So tech firms are going to get hit quite hard, realistically, right? So, yeah, it's one of those situations where I think the overreaction has happened massively with crypto, with Circle, stuff like that. However, you can see here, securing the deposits of more than 3,000 customers worth 6.7 billion. So HSBC, and I will come on to the chart in a minute, I've got to take a bit of a haircut in their profit line and also their investors because their shares have gone down significantly. Moving on to what I said before. Tech firms, 482 have confirmed layoffs. That's a lot. We're only March the 13th. We're almost more than last year. There's a lot of companies that are struggling right now. I feel a lot of companies overhired in the remote working bubble, and it created a big, massive problem. So we've got to factor that in. So when you look at the banks and all that kind of stuff in terms of what's happening right now with Silicon Valley Bank, it kind of makes obvious in terms of certain things we're going to come through, for a short kind of term problem, created a bit of a recipe, right? Certainly when you think the obvious here, they need money, loans are expensive, they're going to default on them. Hold on. You get the idea. Moving on to some more cryptocurrency news, and I will be going back into the banking sector in a minute. TZ has created a nice bit of funds. So Binance will convert $1 billion Industry Recovery Institute funds from BUSD to native crypto, including BTC, BNB, and Ethereum. This is probably what's occurred as the bit of the pump this morning. But also you got to think, why is this so important too? Well, unbeknown to most people until last night, a press release was released from the Federal Reserve, stating that Signature Bank on Sunday, the third largest failure in US banking history, 2 years after the authorities of Silicon Valley, has also collapsed. Oh, bollocks. So this isn't fun, right? So you can see here in terms of the assets, 110 billion in assets and 88.5 billion in deposits over the last year, according to the Financial Services at the Department of New York, basically, right? So this is, again, a problem a little bit for crypto, essentially. But this is where, there's going to be no losses, essentially, to the US taxpayer, which is also good. But there's so many different rumors going around about the Federal Reserve turning on the money printer right now. We need to wait and see what happens. In the next few days, we will definitely see what's going to happen in terms of that side of it, in terms of bailouts and how they're going to protect all these banks. So that's 3 now in the space of 5 days. That's a problem, right? Now, why is this a problem for crypto? Because it is a huge relationship partner with 2 big companies. Circle, mentioned it before, and Coinbase. So the closure comes just after these. So it's a bit of a kick in the bollocks, really. But it also feels like a little bit of a coordinated attack. But as I said before, with the world of bank runs, if you don't know what a bank run is when a large number of customers of a bank basically go and withdraw because of panicking due to insolvency. We've seen it with FTX. When there's no money to give out, it's called a liquidity crunch, and you've got nothing to give them, right? So imagine going to the sweet shop and asking for some sweets, get any, you cry, won't you? Well, that's kind of what happens with finance. Not good. So it's a bit of a problem. But moving on. The narrative of this is huge because when we talk about halving, which is roughly around a year away, and we're talking about insolvency fear of banks and where are people going to put their money, and the most important thing is, are they going to be safe putting their money in certain places? Why isn't cryptocurrency not a factor of where we could be looking at? And it probably is, right? You got to remember the past of how this would happen. There's a narrative here. If Bitcoin gets to a certain price point, people talk about it. Scarcity is a big factor when it comes to the obvious Bitcoin halving. Happens every time. It's like history tells us that this happens every single time. Bollocks to the macro in some cases, because when we've got to think about it, everyone got very, very bearish very, very quickly when we got to the lows where you should be buying, right? That's where the opportunity is. Even now, we went low. We didn't really crumble massively. We didn't really collapse because most of the weak hands are already out. The people that are buying are us lot, the ones that want to buy cryptocurrencies because we believe in the narrative. The narrative is simple. If the financial market crashes completely and people lose confidence in where they put their money, they're going to go decentralized, aren't they? Really, most people, when they understand that skill set to do that, they're going to do it. And this is why Bitcoin was created. This is why if you go and read the white paper and you go and look at all the old literature on Bitcoin and why it was created, this is the time where it should be thriving. And it could, keyword, could thrive in this environment. A lot of people go too deep in the macro side of it. I look at the macro, but I don't base my decisions on it. If Bitcoin's low, in my opinion, I'll just buy it. It doesn't matter, realistically. Yeah, there could be a financial crash, but where could money go into? Remember, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other altcoins, etc., have their own way of growth. It's due to high network effect and usage, right? It doesn't matter about how much they're making in terms of whatever companies are making what on their balance sheet and who's the CEO, whatever that bollocks is. It doesn't matter realistically, right? So we've got to bear that in mind. Anywho, let's talk about some charts first. Mentioned it before, the banking sector is taking a massive hit, as you can see. Well, yeah, that's First Republic. Not looking good, is it? HSBC, mentioned it before, it's going to take a bit of a haircut. Realistically, when we're looking at the New York Stock Exchange in terms of what's happened here, obviously, not great, right? And again, one more. Silvergate. This is the one where massively embedded with a lot of cryptocurrency institutes, and whatever happened. You can see this is literally, this mirrors the cryptocurrency market chart, realistically. This is the top of the crypto bull run. Yeah. Looks like a shitcoin, and it really has taken a bit of a dive. Anyways, let's talk about the obvious in terms of the range of all ranges, right? So in terms of cryptocurrency, it's looking all right. Realistically, we survived. We hit a level of demand, and I'll zoom in for all those mobile users. You can see here that we have had a massive correction, but we're still in a range, right? In my opinion, and this is a chart that I built on Learning Crypto not too long ago, is I still think for the total market cap, we are still in fair value, right? Fair value range. And if it goes into this region, something really fucking has gone wrong. Black swans, right? Feel free to listen to my podcast about that. Quite interesting. So when we look at this situation here, this could be the bottom. We could be pumping up to these levels, these numbers. What about if, don't get too excited, boys and girls, but this could be the play, right? Buy low, sell fucking high, right? Simple as that. But the reality is people don't have the patience for that, and they're looking at all these different scrambling numbers just to get like a 5, 10, 20% discount, when realistically, right, let's look at this for a fact. Most people that were buying up here are now wanting to buy even lower to try and get most of their money back. If you dollar cost average right and you do it over a period of time, and we've been in this range for a long time now, you should be able to buy a good chunk of assets instead of just wasting it all away. If you're buying at the tops, you got problems, right? So yeah, it's not looking great if you bought the top and you're not rebuying more to get your dollar cost average down. Because if this takes off, right, I'm not saying it will, but it could, you're going to lose out. You're going to be sat there holding a bag of dust and nothing, and you'll be like, oh, missed it. You'll buy high, and then you've not got your risk to reward anyway, especially if you're buying certain things. So yeah, it was looking pretty dangerous. Let's look at Maker. Oh dear. This was pretty crazy over the weekend. So why did this have such a big dump? Well, the reason why this had a big dump, because it's obviously part of the DAI token, the DAI ecosystem, right? DAI is also heavy with USDC. When that lost its peg, so did DAI, and therefore a lot of emergency protocols happened, and they had to mint a load of tokens to get the peg and remain it. This is what created the problem. So yeah, you can see this went all the way down to 597, and then way back up again. So that's a massive change, and this is all based on fundamentals, right? So don't worry about the technical analysis, but that in terms of the price, it recovered pretty damn nicely. But yeah, let's go back to BTC, right? When we're talking about the obvious here, where can we go now? Now, there's two situations I'm kind of looking at, right? We've got weekly time frame. We closed very nicely on the weekly. It's still a red candle. However, it's a level of demand that we have wicked back up. We rescued this candle for now. Now, if we're looking at certain situations from the low to the high here, we did go in towards our 618 level, and we may well be finding demand. On the weekly time frame, this is still looking bullish structure. It still looks okay, realistically. We've created a new high here. We've dropped. We've actually recovered this candle. What if the retest is coming now of that 25k level, right? A lot of news is going to filter out. A lot of information is going to come out. If the CPI data tomorrow is good and the dollar drops, and everything's hunky-dory again and everything's lovely in rose petals, we may well go up a bit more, right? So we've got to bear that in mind. However, there's a lot of things that could happen. Fundamentals, news could be released, documentations of bankruptcies could hinder this growth. But right now, if you weren't buying those lows over the course of the weekend and seeing it as an opportunity, you should have been. Realistically, right? I've been positioning this market for a while. I did a video on why I'm all in at this situation. It all stems down to this chart. Fair value. I took my profits around these points here. I've redistributed them here. That's the whole point of the game, right? Buy low, sell high. Don't reinvent the wheel. There's no point. But yeah, other than that, there's nothing much I want to talk about other than we need to wait and see what's going to happen. The dollar is severely dropping. We've created this nice little ledge, essentially lower high, and we may well be going much lower here. This may be going right back down below 100 at some point in the not too distant future. Certainly if the data in China comes out, certainly if certain information comes out in Europe as well, it may be interesting. But another thing that is also happening, I talked about this in my Patreon and Learning Crypto as well. If bounce, what does Bitcoin do? And we've seen here a positive reaction from Bitcoin as well. Even though this is a weekly time frame, we've had a little bit of a fundamental thing here. And you can see here, we've also reacted with it, right, in terms of that situation. So it's interesting to note that even though the fundamentals of Bitcoin has been battered with certain things and depeggings, well, it's hunky-dory for gold. But look at the VIX. The VIX has finally got off this freaking bottom area, right? Basically, lower it goes, not great for investing, right? As you can imagine. Finally, bit of volatility, we're starting to bring people into the market. It's going to get very interesting. That is a monster move from the VIX, by the way. One of the biggest we've had in a very long time. So, there we go. Hope you enjoy. I am standing up. It's a bit weird. I kind of like it, though. I do like standing up at the minute. So, I hope you enjoy. If you like this content, leave a like. Massively appreciated. Feel free to subscribe. Let me get to 100,000 subscribers, which would be not awesome. I'm miles away from that, by the way. I just said it for a fact. But yeah, come back tomorrow for a live stream. I'll see you then.